Good evening, YouTube. Back with another video. Tonight I wanted to express my opinions on the 2024 Home Depot leaked images of their Halloween lineup for this upcoming Halloween season. I'm sure most of you have already seen the videos of other YouTubers who've already dropped this content or exposed this content. As far as the leaked images are concerned, it's pretty much on all social media websites. And if you are in any Halloween forums, I know you have to have seen all of these images. The thing is that when these things leak, pretty much everyone gets a hold of them and then they start making videos immediately. I usually know that within the first of 2 weeks, more images drop. So if you remember, probably about maybe a week ago, maybe 5 days ago or so, the first images leaked and then we started seeing more images. So I wanted to wait until most of the images that we're going to get are released, and I think we're at that point. So I just kind of want to express my opinion of these images, of these Halloween animatronics and props from Home Depot for the 2024 season. First thing I want to say, if you've been doing this for a while, you know that some of the images that are very blurry or very hard to read, they may not look like the way that we think they look until they drop in person. And even some of these props that we have clear images of may look a little bit different in store or in person until we get our hands on them. So I try to take everything for face value as far as what they originally look like in the pictures, but just be aware that sometimes these look kind of different once we get them in our home or once we see them in stores. So be very cautious of that, because a lot of times we get excited and we think something's going to look a certain way, and then we see it in store, or we see it in person, or we get it at home before we even see it in person. We order it online when it first drops, and then it's totally not what we thought it was. So just keep that in mind as well as we go over some of the list of these props and animatronics. So as I talk, I'm going to put the picture on the screen and we'll talk about it a little bit. So the first thing I want to talk about is the new 12-foot skeleton. I'm just going to say it off the bat, very disappointed in that announcement. We know that this is the #1 selling Halloween prop for Home Depot and has been for years. So I think what myself and others were actually expecting and hoping for was a revised 12-foot skeleton that was more durable, that could withstand more rain and weather, that had maybe stainless steel parts or something on it to just make it more durable, maybe even a movable jaw. Maybe if it talked, maybe if the head moved. I mean, a complete animation would have been cool, but I just think that a more quality 12-foot skeleton was what we were hoping for. And I think by being in a lot of the forums, most of us would spend more money on it if Home Depot did that. If Home Depot made one that, could withstand a lot of the weather and issues and just was more durable, and the joints and the parts were better, I think we would spend another $100 to $200 more if we knew it would last a lot longer. So that's what I was hoping for. So when the announcement came out about the eyes, I mean, that's all we're getting is some new LCD eyes. I was completely disappointed in that. Who cares about whether there's hearts in the eyes or the eyes spin in that was gimmicky to me. Definitely won't be buying one just because of that. If it was something more to it, I would, but for that reason alone, no, I definitely wouldn't buy it for that. So I was disappointed with that announcement, but I mean, it is cool. If I didn't have a 12-foot skeleton already, I definitely would get one, and I definitely would get the more updated one. But again, we don't know a whole lot of details, so there might be more to it that hasn't been announced as of yet, but I'm hoping that one is more advanced or upgraded than just the eyes. So that's what I'm hoping for. But the way that it was announced was pretty much that was all that was coming, that had been changed. And so because of that, it's a pass for me. But if it's more to it, then I'll definitely look into it. I know Lowe's does that a lot with their props. The Mummy they upgraded because there were so many complaints about that. And a couple of other their props were upgraded over the years. So hopefully Home Depot will make that decision later on down the line. Next prop, the dog, the skeletal dog. I thought this was genius from Home Depot. Whoever's working in their marketing department when it comes to this hit it out of the park. Not because I want one. I don't own any dogs. I used to be a dog owner. I love dogs, but I won't be getting the dog. But you have to understand, the pet market is huge. And for anyone that's interested or likes pets or owns dogs, that's a huge market to go into. I guarantee you that dog is going to sell out. Unless they just mass produce it, to the point where, you can't, it's just so many of them that you just can't pass it by because they just can't sell out. That's the only reason why that thing is going to sit. But if they make, let's say, 4,000 or so, like they normally drop for some of their products, that thing is going to it's going to fly off the shelves. So the marketing part of that was really great. And if you think about it, from this point on, each year they can just build upon that. They can make a cat next year, or they can make different type of dog breeds for the skeleton. And I know it would look weird as a skeleton, but maybe just the head shaped like a particular breed with certain ears and maybe a certain nose to make it kind of shaped like that particular dog, I think would sell each year as well. So it's just really up in the air and to the imagination of the developers with that. But they definitely knew what they were doing with that one. That one will definitely sell out. I think it's cool, but I also think it kind of changes the look of the 12-foot skeleton with the dog beside it. It makes it a lot more kid-friendly to me, which is good for some homes, for those who don't want to be too spooky or scary or creepy. And so I think overall it was a good idea for Home Depot. So kudos to them. Not something that I'll be picking up, but I think it is pretty cool. All right, next up is the tree, the haunted tree. Okay, so this thing, let's just be honest. Someone from the design team saw some of the distortion props and said, hey, how about we take a go at it? Now, this one I'm interested in, but it depends on the price because I know things are going up and I know it's cool, but this is just something that, if I'm going to spend, depending on what the price is, if they're asking, something ridiculous for this tree, then I might as well just save up and get the Distortions Unlimited tree, which is something that I wanted. And side note, I saw one for a great deal the other day, but I just could not get any of my friends or family to pick it up for me. But really wish I would have got the Distortions one. But this one looks okay. I don't like necessarily the lines that show each individual sections in it. But I can work around that. I think there's things we can do to cover it up, maybe with some moss or something like that to hide those lines. But overall, I think it's a cool looking tree. I think the lights are pretty cool. I like the height of it. I think it's a great height. But I just hope they got it at the right price range. Now, for me, I think this tree should be no more than $250, hoping that it's $199. If you look at, let's say the Skull and Bone Arch that came out last year, that was $199. And I think that's, the price range that tree should be in. If it's over $250, definitely a no-go for me. But hoping that it's $199. But I do like it. I think it looks pretty cool. It's good quality. And I think you can make it work with the actual section showing with some costume design for it. So tree, good going Home Depot. Glad you brought that out. Was waiting for something like that. And I'm definitely interested in that. All right, here we go. Here's another interesting thing, and I kid you not, before I even go into this review of this particular guy, there were 3 things that I was getting ready to buy. A vampire, a Frankenstein, and the haunted tree. And I wanted all 3 of them from Distortions. It's very interesting to me that this year they drop a vampire, which I'll talk a little bit about in a minute, the Frankenstein, and the haunted tree. So crazy how I almost paid a lot more money for the Distortions ones, and now we're getting a more affordable one. Of course, it's not the quality of Distortions, but this is working out great for me as long as the price is right. So I'm looking forward to Frankenstein as well. Now, first off, the servo in it, the motors, it looks awesome, right? It looks great. People complain about the clothes. We can work around that. I can get them a suit or something to make them look a little bit better clothes-wise. The animation, the eye movement is really cool. Definitely reminds you of Lethal Lily. The actual skin tone and the color and the glossiness of the skin reminds me a lot of Lily as well. So I think that's where they took a lot of that from. But we need this Frankenstein. And if you're not a Frankenstein fan, then I get it. But for those of us who are the original monster fans and are fans of Frankenstein, this is one that we have to have in the collection. Hoping that he's not over 300. I think Lethal Lily was like 279 or something like that. Hoping he's around the same price or cheaper. But I really like that guy. Gotta get him. He's one that I don't know. I think he'll sell pretty well. I'm not sure if he'll sell out. Just depends on how many they produce. But he's definitely on my list. So kudos to Home Depot for bringing this guy out. Thanks for getting the licensing and all of that, because he's one that's definitely on my list. Okay, this one was not expected. Okay, this guy right here, I was not expecting for him to come out the blue. And this is one probably besides the Frankenstein and the tree. My top three are the tree, Frankenstein, and this guy. The 12-foot Reaper, and it's a floating Reaper we just found out. This one was completely unexpected, completely out of the blue. Definitely didn't think I needed any more 12-footers until I saw this guy. And I don't really care for Reapers like that. Like I sold my Smoldering Reaper. I got him for a good deal used, and I didn't even put him out for Halloween. I'm not really in the Reapers, but this one, the 12-foot one, and that is floating, just changes the game for me with it. And how big that scythe is, yeah, I definitely got to get this guy. Now, he's the one I'm worried about as well. Most of the 12-footers are anywhere from $300 to $400. I got a feeling they're going to raise the price on this guy. I got a feeling he's going to be around $350. But, you know, depending on how he looks in person, I think I'm going to get this one. But I just have to wait and see. But he's definitely one on my radar for sure. He's a good-looking Reaper, and the fact that he's floating, it looks like they've taken the design from the hovering witch, 12-foot witch, and did the Reaper the same. But I think it was a great idea to keep that concept. I just hope that he's not as difficult to put together as the witch was. But he's really, really cool. Next up on the list is the Gangster Skeleton. Okay, this guy is super cool. Very unique. I love the idea. Just the fact that he has the hat, the drink in his hand, and the cigar with the playing cards. He's a go for me. He's definitely one that I'm going to pick up. Excuse me. I hope that he's actually the same price range as Dean in that realm of pricing. But I think he's super cool. I think he's just a really unique guy. I think that the fact that supposedly he can sit or stand. He has, I guess, bendable legs. I think is really cool as well. So really looking forward to him. I'm really looking forward to hearing his voice though. You know, to play that role of a card player or a gangster or I don't know, just one of those guys that's at the table playing cards, drinking and smoking. Your voice has to be right. So I hope they don't have, you know, the wrong type of voice for him. But he's cool either way, even if he's used as a static prop. I think just the drink and cigar and cards in hand goes a long way. So definitely looking forward to that one. And the fact that it can be bendable to sit down in a chair is great for a Halloween party. So yeah, definitely interested in him. Where are we at now? Jumping into this one, which is a Halloween prop, the pumpkin stack. Now this one I'm really interested in. I'm sorry, not the pumpkin stack, the pumpkin arch. The pumpkin arch, it looks really cool, but this is one I gotta see in person. The picture just doesn't do justice for me as of yet, so I'm on the fence about it. It depends on the paint job on it. It depends on how the faces actually all look in person. I gotta see this in person first. I love arches, and I think this is a cool arch, but I need to see more of it. And hopefully it's still 200 like the other arches have been. But this one I'm kind of on the fence about. This is one I definitely need to see in person first. So hopefully, you know, I do think it'll sell out though, because all arches normally do. But it's just one that, I don't know. I may order it and then just return it if it's not as good looking as it is, as I thought it is. But I gotta see that one in person. But it is a cool concept. Gravedigger looks like he's back. Now the owl's on his shoulder. And I'm gonna tell you, I really like the original Gravedigger, the one where he has a shovel on his shoulder. I had that one, but it started to have some serious issues, so I ended up selling it. So I do need another Gravedigger. And I was thinking about getting the one from last year, but the whole owl thing to me was just a little cheesy. Because let's just think about it. If there's a real Gravedigger in the graveyard, more than likely they're not gonna have an owl sitting, on his shoulder. Maybe if it was, I don't know. I don't know. It's just something about that one that just didn't do it for me. But this one, for 2024, it looks like they took the original clothes from the original one and put it on the new Gravedigger animatronic, which I thought was cool. But I don't know. I just if I'm gonna get a Gravedigger, I want one that's a little bit, I don't know, just different than what I've been seeing so far. So that was a hold. I know for me, I will hold off on that one unless I see it in person and it just really speaks to me. But for right now, I'm gonna hold off. But if you don't have a Gravedigger yet, I still think he's pretty cool. But owning the original one to me just doesn't compare to the new one that they've come out with. So, the Parrot. So the Parrot is cool, and I think there's a market for it. If you live in certain areas, let's say like Tampa, Florida, they're huge on pirates. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's something that will sell well in certain markets and certain areas. But I'm noticing, there's a lot of underwater themes and animatronics coming out of that era, especially with the Lowe's lineup this year. So I think it could work if that's what you're going for. I think it's a good looking animatronic. The Parrot looks pretty cool as well. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my type of thing. I'm not really into that and don't have themes for that. So, but if I did some type of sea or underwater theme or something to that effect, I definitely would pick him up. So I think it's a good looking prop, just not for me personally, but I think it still was a good idea because there is a market for pirates. We have the mini Inferno guy. This one I'm excited about. I love the 3-foot skeleton. He's actually sitting right behind this camera or standing behind this camera. So this will go right along with him. I think it's a great idea. I think each year Home Depot should come out with a mini 12-footer of what they have. The 12 foot of, and just have their mini counterpart, whether it was the Witch, whether it's what other 12 footers, all of the giants I think would be cool if they brought mini versions of and kept it at 3 feet. I think that would be really cool. So really excited about the mini Inferno Pumpkin. Definitely picking him up. Hope it's the same price range, but he looks awesome. So definitely we'll give him a try. Okay. So some of the blurry images of this guy, the Nosferatu vampire. All right, so we've seen blurry images and not too much quality images of this guy. So I'm really kind of skeptical of how he's going to look in person. This one has to be on point, and there's different versions of him. You have what was the original movie in the 20s? And then I think they brought it back. Was there a 1930s version and then a 70s version? And they all look kind of a little different. So it depends on how he looks in person. That's another one I have to see in person. Distortions got him right to a certain degree. The Distortions one I almost was able to buy for a very good price, but the seller ended up doing something weird with the eyebrows. I think they trimmed them and then they dyed them a certain color. It looked weird, so I didn't end up getting them. But yeah, if it looks good quality and it looks very similar to the movie version of him, I definitely will pick him up. Don't really care what the animation is because I think he would look good as a static prop if they do him correctly. If they produce him correctly and he looks very to scale as the original, I think he will sell out and he will be a good addition to my collection personally. But I really got to see how he looks because they could, if anything is really off with him, it's just not gonna be good. Certain monsters or vampires or just certain characters can look a little off and get away with it. Let's say, like, there's so many different versions of Frankenstein out there, and they all look good in their own way. But Nosferatu, you gotta get him right. You can't just kind of wing it and make your own version of him. You really got to try to get him as close as possible to the original. And I think if they do that, he will be a hit. So this next one that I want to talk about, I really don't know, or I don't really understand if this is truly Home Depot or not, because I've seen some leaked images, but it doesn't seem as though, I don't know. I don't know. I've seen a 12-foot bone collector, right? And it's going under the Home Depot lineup, but then someone else posted something that made me think it was a different store that was going to release him. So I'm not really sure, but I'm assuming that it's Home Depot. And if it is, I've seen the image that I'm posting right now of him, and he looks cool, but not something I'm interested in. I've never really been interested in bone collector type animatronics or props. He looks just kind of strange to me. I mean, he's a cool figure, but he's the type that I would just pick up just because he's a 12-footer. I mean, he does look cool, but nothing I would spend $300 or $400 on. I would get him on sale after season, because I really don't think with everything else that's coming out, he's going to be one of the top sellers. I think he'll sit kind of like Jack Skeleton did, and then it'll go on sale for 50% off to 75% off at the end of the season. So he's a no for me. Plague Doctor, he's a no for me. Never really cared for this character. Kind of cool. I mean, Spirit's already done it. I think another company's already done him. Just not my type of thing, but I think he does look pretty cool. The animation is horrible, though. At least from the pre-leak videos that we've seen of the animation of the Plague Doctor, he looks pretty bad. I mean, he moves like a robot. The way he stops and jerks just doesn't look smooth, doesn't look fluid. Definitely a no on my end, but hey, there's a market for it. I'm sure someone will buy it, but he's a no for me. So another thing that's been looking kind of cool is some of their new gravestones, their tombstones, especially this one with the figure here in the picture holding like an hourglass. I think is really cool, or I think that's what he or she is holding. But I think this one's cool, and looks like some other ones in the pictures look pretty cool as well. Home Depot does a great job with their tombstones, so I'm sure they're not going to disappoint this year. Looks like a lot of the old ones from last year are coming back as well. So if you miss those, you get an opportunity to get some of those as well. The LED spider looks pretty cool. I'm sure in person it looks really great lit up, as all of Home Depot LED lighting does. But not something that I'm probably going to get, but he does look pretty cool. So I would be interested to see that one in person as well. Then we have this guy, which a lot of people are ranting and raving about, which is the zombie horse with the headless skeleton. I'm going to be honest. So, anything headless horseman sells, and usually they sell pretty well. People are just into it. I mean, whether it's Sleepy Hollow, whether it's the pumpkin headless horseman, or whatever the case may be. Then I've seen some with the Reaper on it. Now we have the skeleton. I think they are pretty cool, especially if you're able to hook up some type of fog machine to it. If not, they still look cool. But I'm not really into this one. This one, I think Home Depot dropped the ball on, because it looks like they literally took the ultimate posable skeleton, put him on a horse, took his head and put it in his hand. To me, it looks very gimmicky. The horse looks really well. I like the zombie dead-looking horse, but the skeleton on it just, to me, doesn't really match it or fit it. I think if you're going to do something like that, you need to create a different type of skeleton to set that scene. You need a skeleton that looks very different than anything else you've produced. Or they could just use some type of different theme. They could have used a decayed pirate on a horse. They could use a decayed Egyptian king, where it looks like he's half mummified and half still human, and put him on some type of dead horse or something like that. Just they could have came up with so many more ideas than taking an ultimate posable skeleton and throwing him on the horse and lighting him up. To me, it looks like it was one of those last minute decisions where company just came up with to me, that just could have been a lot better. So personally, I won't be interested in that. I know there's a lot of people that are, so it will sell out. Because I think on the forums, that one is probably the one that most people are talking about that I've seen is the zombie horse guy. There's a good amount of people that are interested in the Gangster Skeleton or the card playing skeleton, the tree, and the Frankenstein are probably the most popular. Oh, and the 12-foot Reaper. Yeah. But it seems like there's been more conversation about this horse, the headless skeleton horseman. So that one I think is definitely going to sell out pretty quick, but I just think they could have did a better job. Just my opinion, guys. Don't kill the messenger. And other than that, there's a lot of other things that we see in those leaked footages and video and images that have come out. You see the whole plaque of like different multiple skeleton heads that have all of the LED eye movements. I don't know if that's just a display only to show what the new skeleton can do, or if that's an actual prop. If it's an actual prop, I think it's cool, but I just don't know about drilling holes in the wall and put that up on my wall. So something that I'm going to pass on, but I do think it's pretty cool looking. You see a lot of other things in there. I saw the scarecrow in there with the little scythe. I do have an image of that. I'll pop up. That guy looks interesting too. Very similar to the Sitter of Souls that came out last year. It looks like it's still in that theme. Not something that I'm interested in, but he's pretty cool looking. I think what really separates the coolness in him is this top hat that's kind of tall. But we've seen a lot of things that kind of look very similar to that in other stores. So it's not something that I'm interested in, but I think he is cool and spooky looking. So I'm sure other people will pick him up as well. And here's the thing, if you don't really know, this is just the beginning. There always are going to be those surprise images that pop up later that Home Depot isn't showing us that they normally do every year. And it could be just one or two items, but I'm sure there's going to be some prizes that we don't know about yet that's going to pop up. You also have to realize that, this is March. Home Depot starts selling some of their items mid-year, like the midpoint between Halloween. So usually that's around July. So kind of keep your eye on the website around that time and join a lot of the Halloween forums that will tell you when these things are going to drop or when they do drop. And when they do drop, you got to be on it. You got to be up at 5 in the morning to get these things because they sell out very quickly. It don't take 5 o'clock to hand because it could be at any time at night. So I think last year I got up at 5, but they didn't drop until around 6 or 6:30 in the morning. So it's just the nature of the game. But other than that, guys, that's all I have in this video. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate your support to the channel. I hope everyone's doing well. And until the next video, you guys take care of yourselves. Peace.